All right, thank y'all for being here. I said I'm here under protest on this bye-week press conference, but I'm here. Great win on the road. Proud of our guys. I gave everybody in our building off for Sunday and Monday. Been a long year, so they deserve some time off. So I don't have weekly awards. I've got I don't really have a true update on some of the injuries. I can give you a little bit. But I thought it was important to give everybody some time off, so we'll get back to it tomorrow. I'll give you a quick recap. I thought special teams, we played at a high level, and we really, other than the blocked punt that we had versus Pitt, we've played pretty well special teams-wise all year. Fake field goal was huge, but I thought just as big was the made field goal on the first drive, 40-plus yards. I thought we affected their punter. Especially on the first punt of the third quarter there that set up the short field, that set up the touchdown. Our kickoff coverage was very good. Zay Jennings made a heck of a play. I think our team speed shows on that. Like, we were really fast on our kickoff unit. And then we netted 46 yards on our punt. Ollie Straw has been really consistent all year. And he's a weapon. And I said this after the game. McGuire Moss came in and did all the snapping. Brinkman was down for the game. And in his first start, did a really nice job in a pressure situation. Defensively, things we did well. Our run defense has been really good. I think our front is playing at a high level. And T.J. Jackson, Sean Martin, Fatorma, Hammond Russell, Asani Redwood, those guys. Nate Gabriel's getting better. Those guys are playing really well. And we started strong. I thought that was important. Anytime you play on the road and you're able to get up, that's important. Very poor in the fourth quarter. Not hiding from that. Didn't like the way we finished. Our pass defense wasn't good enough. I'm not avoiding that or ignorant of that. It's just it hasn't been good enough all year. Tried some different things, but it hasn't. We've been patchwork, and it hasn't been very good. And I say that I don't want to take away. And I was careful what I said after the game too, because I don't want to take away for how good the receiver is. Number 4 is special, and if I knew how to say his name, I'd say his name. But T-Mac, the kid is special, and the quarterback's got an it factor because he keeps plays alive, and so those two are really good, but we haven't been good enough there. And then offensively, I thought we controlled the game offensively. I was really pleased with how Nico played. I thought he played under control. He didn't have a big negative play. Was what you worry about when guys are making, early starts. He didn't have a big negative play. I thought I thought we mixed up the run game and we were really balanced. Thought we continued to be really good on third down. We scored touchdowns in the red zone. We really had probably 2 bad drives in the game. We only had 9 possessions, and that was on purpose. We wanted to minimize the possessions in the game. We tried to play with a lot of tempo early, which was successful. Then we wanted to kind of control it, and we had the ball for 35 minutes. And so I thought we were able to do that, but was pleased with how we played offensively. And I thought the 2 first downs on the final drive, the fact they didn't have a chance, they never got the ball back because they were in a rhythm. They scored 4 touchdowns in a row. And so for us to come out and have convert a 3rd and 2.5, and then a 3rd and probably 8 in that last drive was huge. And so I thought we did some good things. Weren't perfect by any means, but I thought we did some good things. Offensively, wrapping it up, good win. Huge November's coming up. We got a 4-game stretch, 2 at home, 2 on the road. All 4 teams, I try not to look ahead a lot, but all 4 teams are kind of similar, all similar records. And so a lot to play for in November. Again, I'm not ignorant or avoiding our issues. We have to be better on defense. But playing this week, guys will be back tomorrow. We'll lift and meet, and then we'll practice Wednesday and Thursday, get some good work in with our young guys. And then we'll recruit this weekend and then start really Cincinnati stuff on Sunday. And so that's kind of the plan. So, Greg, start us off.
So you said you don't know a lot about injuries, but what do you know?
Yeah,
could come back?
Yeah, so Garrett's still struggling a little bit. So, I'm sure some of y'all are going to ask about quarterbacks. I wouldn't waste your time because it's not worth talking about till he's healthy. But he's still struggling. Wyatt's making progress. Yeah, he'll be available. He'll practice this week. Aubrey, I don't know I don't have any updates on him. Who else? Garnes. I would say he's still out at this point. I'll know more by next Monday, but I would say he's still out. The guys that got hurt in the game, KK, I think it'll be touch and go. A lot of it will depend on how he heals this week. If we had a game this week, he wouldn't play. But since we don't, I think, he'll be kind of up in the air. Who else? CJ, it'll be see how he does this week. He was fine. Yeah, he played. He finished. Yeah, he was fine. He came back. Yeah, he's fine.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Altuner, McIntyre.
So okay, good. Yeah. So Kyle Altuner will be back. He put on pads for the first time last week, and I believe he's going to be able to do some of our Monday Night Football stuff this week. So excited about that. I think Corey's probably, and it's been good because both those guys are going to be really good players here. And we miss Corey. Like he would be, he would definitely be in the rotation. He played really well in the spring. He's done a great job in rehab, and he and Kyle have really kind of pushed each other. So Corey's probably about 2 more weeks away, but they both could be active in November, possibly.
Discerning.
Nah, he's out. Yeah, he's out. He's going to take a red shirt, which is good. He played in 4 games, so he still has a red shirt year available. So we're going to use that. And he's progressing well. He'll be full go in January. Anybody else? Injury-wise?
Injury-wise, no, but some of the freshmen, you played some of your DBs on defense. I mean, you talked about Zay Jennings, special teams, but he played some defense. Kai.
I think his role in defense will continue to grow too.
Washington too. I
Yeah, so Keon didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to be careful with his numbers. He didn't play, but we like what he's doing, and he definitely could be up these last 4 games for sure. But Zay's his defense snaps. He played well in defense. He's made some really positive plays on kickoff. And so I think his snaps will continue to increase defensively. Israel Boyce is another guy that's played really since Oklahoma State. And I like what he's doing. We've kind of moved him around. He played in our dime package on Saturday. And so, but yeah, he's got a bright future too.
If you had a game this week, in terms of Green's health, do you know at all if he could?
No, I don't. And like I said, I haven't seen him. He didn't go on the trip. He and Wyatt, neither one of them made the trip just because I didn't think it was, with the type of injury they have, I didn't think it was smart to go. And I haven't seen Garrett. I've talked to our trainer. I've talked to Vince. But I think it would be too early in the week to say, But he wouldn't practice today if we had practice.
Monday afternoon, thoughts on Nico overall, how he performed?
Yeah, John, like I said, kind of in the opening, I thought he played really under control. He didn't do anything that hurt us. And I mean that in the most positive way. We put a lot on him in our read game. In our snaps, we struggled with our snaps, and I thought he did a great job of catching the football, which should be a given. But, he had to make some difficult catches in the game, and I thought he handled that. And he made the correct decisions in the run game in a high percentage. There was a few that he got wrong. But we asked him to make a lot of decisions in the run game, and I thought he did a nice job with that. He was really efficient on 3rd downs, and so I was pleased with him. He's so much better. Like I just think back to this, and I might have said this after the game. I think about where he was his last start against Texas Tech, and then where he was in this game. Over a year later. And the progress that he's made as a quarterback and as a football player, I'm just really impressed with that. And it's a credit to his work.
Throws in tight windows. He made some.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he, the 3rd down that he converted to HUD was big. You think about, and then I think a couple plays later we throw the long touchdown to Traylon, which was a great throw too. He did a nice job. We had some pressure coming to his right, and he did a nice job sliding up, and really he threw a great ball to Traylon on that. But I thought the 3rd down conversion was huge, maybe as big a play as we had to Hudson there. And then he did a nice job. So in that last completion to Jalen Anderson, that's his 3rd read. And so for a young guy to get to your 3rd read in a really high-pressure environment, that's a credit to him. It was the right read, but, that was his 3rd.
he play well enough to make the decision on who starts regardless of injury?
Yeah,
more
Mike, you
difficult?
love asking these questions. Like, you ask more questions about the quarterbacks than anybody. No, but like, I'm talking about over about a 3 or 4 week period, and I respect that. I'm kind of being funny, but I do respect. I'm not being hard on you.
I know you said it wasn't. It's not
So,
yet, 'cause it's
yeah, I
a
just
fair
think,
question.
yeah, no, it is. It's fair. Like, I don't disagree. It's a fair question. I agree with that. And I guess the best way for me to answer that is I really can't give you an answer until Garrett's healthy, and he's not healthy right now. Okay. I think it's hard to lose jobs when you're injured. I don't think that's a good practice. But Nico played really well, and I'm happy for him. But I don't have any any long-term answer for you right now.
Fair then to say once Garrett's healthy, he's quarterback one that day at practice at least.
Well, I think that it's a work in progress. Like, here's what I'll tell you, Mike, is I don't think you lose jobs for being injured. Now, has Nico played well enough to deserve some playing time? Absolutely. But as far as like starter or anything, we're not going to talk about that until Garrett's healthy, and that's not where we're at right now.
Is rhythm so important with quarterbacks that when you say, okay, let's try and get both these guys into the game plan, that
Yeah.
it becomes
It's hard.
like a,
Yeah, it's
a
hard.
balance?
It's hard. It is a rhythm. Like, it's a rhythm position, man. Like, and if you're bouncing back and forth, now there's ways to do it creatively where you can play both and they have a role and all those things. But it's a rhythm spot, man. It's really hard to go in between series. It doesn't mean it can't be done. It doesn't mean it can't be done, but it's hard on those quarterbacks. Yeah. Good.
Wouldn't it be hard on the rest of the offense too? Because like you have a kind of a luxury because you say we don't have to change much between one quarterback and the other, but you still, it's like different guy, different mentality, different thought processes,
Yeah.
different everything. That for the rest of the offense, you're like, okay, Garrett's in, he likes doing this. Nico's in, he likes doing this.
I think for the rest of the offense, they're comfortable with both guys. I think there's a high level of trust in both guys. The biggest difference is the right to left-handed. And that's harder on the play caller, so that's harder on me than it is for our team. They don't necessarily know the difference if we're trying to do some things for a right-handed quarterback compared to a left-handed quarterback. But I think it goes back to what you were saying first. It is a rhythm position, and so you have to be careful, in a rotation type, because I don't think that's fair to either.
Go through the mechanics of the fake field goal. Is there a cancel to that? Is there a
Yeah,
look you have to
we
get?
can get out of it. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah, so we can get out of it. And Leighton Bechtel's a really good football player, and so he's a good athlete. And so you have some confidence in the fact that he's a good athlete. He can run, he can jump. He has good athletic movements, and he's smart. And so he's been doing it a while. So he had the ability to check out of it. If it was a look where they were overloaded, he could have definitely checked out of it. But we had a good look, and we got hats on hats. And it's basically a very similar run scheme that we run. We had Cole Taylor and Xavier Balsley right at the point of attack. We pulled Sully Weedman. That's what he does when he's playing guard. Like the combo block that Cole and Xavier made, they do that every single day because that's the same block they make on inside zone. And so you have a high level of confidence in doing that because you're asking kids to do stuff that they always do.
The fact that it was where it was, when you tried it against North Carolina, I think he had to run 30 yards. This one, he only had to run about 15.
Yeah.
Did that play a
We
role
screwed
in
it
it?
up against North Carolina because we ended up having to kick another field goal. So yeah, that's what I kind of laughingly told him during the week. I was like, hey, man, we're going to do this, but you need to score, all right? If we're going to call this, you need to score. So I was happy for him.
Does this go back to Troy? Did you have this in play at Troy? Did you ever try it before?
No, this is a
Relatively new.
credit to Tony Thompson,
Okay.
who works with our special teams. This is his field goal fake, and it's worked twice now.
Seems like he's a good luxury to have for
He
all the
is.
stuff he can do.
And what I'll tell you is he's a good player, and he's been a great teammate, and we're grateful for him for hanging around because I think Ollie is one of the better punters in the country, and Bechtel has some talent as a punter as well. So he could have easily left the program and went somewhere else, but he's attacked his role, and I laughingly, but in a very positive manner. I said this after the game. He's a Swiss Army. Like he was our backup long snapper in the game on Saturday. He can long snap. He's done that role now for 2 years. He could kick off if we had to have somebody. He can punt, and he punts. He's really a plus punter, and he's done a great job holding. If you look at it, so kind of 2 plays back to back, kind of sum them up. Great athlete, made a good run on the touchdown, and then we had a poor snap on the PAT after he scored his touchdown, and he took it off the ground and held it. And I've done that job, so I'm fully aware of how difficult that is, and kickers are finicky and get them the stripes and all that kind of stuff. And so he's done a great job in that. And if you look at our field goal percentage, over the last 2 years, it's been really high. And I think Michael would tell you this as well, is he's a part of that. Like Brinkman and Bechtel have done a really good job of assisting Michael because they've been really consistent in their jobs. But
You're the play caller. Would you take through the conversations on that field goal, not field goal, but the fake field goal, and the pass that wound up going to Jalen Anderson?
yeah, so the fake field goal, you kind of make your decision during the week. And what we were going to do on that, Bob, was we were going to run that on the first field goal. Like, first field goal attempt, we were going to run it. Now, we got a holding penalty on the first drive of the game. And so I think that our first field goal was at 3rd and 9, if my memory's correct. So it was at 3rd and 9. So I thought that was too long for the fake. So we just kicked that. And so we kept it, and I told our guys on the headsets, I said, hey, I still want to run this fake. So if we get in another opportunity, let's use it. And so it just so happened on the second possession of the game, we got in another field goal opportunity, and we ran it that time.
So
And what was your hold on, Mike? What was your second question?
Pass that wound up going to Anderson, and if he could also.
Yeah, so when we were in. Yeah, so I felt like. So the game, let's just talk about the game. It's 31-13 with 11 minutes and something to go, right? They score, and I felt like that. Let's talk about it was 24 to whatever, and we had the ball, but I felt like they were starting to move the ball, starting to figure out some things that we were doing. And so we had a possession that I think we ran the ball maybe on first, maybe even on second down, but we got the 3rd down conversion, and we felt really good about that shot play, right? And so we got in a position, and we called the shot play, and it worked, get to 31. And really, I felt like in the game, you can feel momentum, right? And they had momentum offensively. And so we get the ball back, and they scored. And so it was 31. I can't remember. It was 31-19 or 31-20. I can't remember what it was at that point. But anyway, we get the ball back, and we were going to be aggressive. And then we got the holding penalty, right? So we had a positive run on a very questionable holding penalty. Very questionable, all right? So we get that holding penalty, and because we had another shot play we felt really good about that we were going to call right after that. We handed the ball off to Jaheim on the kind of the speed sweep. But we got into, was it 1st and 20, and now we're pinned back, and you're like, And so probably a little conservative right there because I didn't want to make a big mistake. And so we got the ball back. They score again, so now it's 31-26, and we threw the ball on 1st down because my mindset was, hey, we gotta make sure they don't get the ball back. They're in a rhythm. We're not playing very well, and we got to go. And so threw the ball on 1st down, got into a 2nd and short, didn't run the ball very well, converted the 3rd down. And our thought process was we knew it was one play, and so we weren't playing good enough to run the ball and then punt it. And so we had a play that was called for man, or we had a play that was good for zone. And we did a check with me on the sideline. It was man. We checked it to the man play, and Nico executed it. Jalen bobbled it, but he made the play. And he did a good job getting to the sticks, and that essentially ended it.
When you see the ball going to someone that hasn't had the ball in his hands all day in a moment that, may hold the whole season, I mean, did you first kind of say, oh, no?
Well, my initial thought was because of the play probably should have gone to Traylon Ray, all right? With the look that we got, it probably should have gone to Traylon Ray, who won on a slant. He won on a slant on the backside of that combination, and that's really where my eyes were, and I saw him win. So I'm like, okay, like this is a positive play. So when I looked, because I'm on the sideline, I'm kind of looking in that direction, and Traylon's to my sideline, and that's where the ball probably should have went. But I haven't asked Nico about it yet. But the play should have probably went there. So I see Traylon win, so I feel pretty good about the play. But then I see the ball in the air on the right. I'm like, and so I didn't really have time to think about it, Bob. I just, like, Jalen made the play, and then it was like, okay, I think we can kneel this out, and just kind of thinking through in my head what the 40-second clock looked like.
Doing math there to figure out.
Well, I got people up in the box that are helping
Okay.
with it. Yeah, but yeah, you're doing math, and so you got to figure it out.
I know you practiced the kneel down play, but was there ever discussion with Nico? Hey, just stand there for a few seconds and burn a few seconds off.
Well, he's
before you
supposed to
kneel?
on the first one. I didn't do a very good job. I didn't. He said he couldn't hear me on the earpiece. So
Offensive line, just the issues with penalties and things like that. Like, what is your evaluation of them? Do you think those penalties were fair? How do you?
yeah. So my thing with officiating, I just think it needs to be consistent. And so, like the one I just talked about on the speed sweep, it was borderline whether Cole held or not on that first down. But they had a fourth down conversion where they handed off a speed sweep, and they had every bit the same hold that we had, and it wasn't called. So, like, to me, we just got to be consistent in how we're going to call the game. But the procedure penalties that were on our O-line, they were both kind of unique in the sense they're really on the center. You know, they called them on somebody else, but they're really on the center, not snapping the ball. And then the holds, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily argue. Holding in DPI are so hard because they're judgment calls, right? I don't know if we're consistent enough, throughout, but I can't argue that those weren't holds. They probably were. But we haven't had a huge penalty issue with our offensive line, but they hurt us. The penalties hurt us. We had 50 yards, and they were all on our offensive line.
Any concern about some of the snaps in that game as well?
Oh, yeah. That's what I talked about earlier. They were. I mean, and yes, they are. And I thought Nico handled the ball really well. But it's an issue. We've got to, and Brandon's doing some really nice things playing the position, but the snaps we got to get. And like I said, I like that's an issue. Our pass defense is an issue. Like I'm aware. I'm not avoiding those. We got to get better. But Nico did a nice job of handling those.
Is Zay next man up if Aubrey and
Yeah,
Kiki can't play?
yeah, him and Boyce. Yeah, both. Yeah, him and Boyce are both capable of playing that position. Yeah.
Show you about Johnny Williams. You mentioned that.
Yeah, so he did. Yeah. It wasn't perfect by any means, but I think for his first career start on the road, and I think those two kids are good players. Like number 3 is a solid player. I think he'll be an NFL player. He's got a chance to be a drafted player. Number 11 is a kind of an undersized guy, but he's got really good speed off the edge. I thought it wasn't perfect by any means. There were some mistakes in there, but I'm encouraged by him. Like I'm really encouraged by Johnny Williams.
So schedule this week, you mentioned a little bit. What do you do? You do any scout on Cincinnati?
We'll do a little bit probably on Thursday, but we won't get a ton. We're going to practice quick, kind of the same recipe we had. We're just practicing one less day, but kind of the same recipe. We'll scrimmage our young guys on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll do one scout period each on Wednesday and Thursday, a little bit of Cincinnati prep. But for us right now, it's really about getting rested, getting some of these injured guys healthy, and getting ready for a November run. Yeah.
Recruiting this weekend.
Yeah, we'll recruit this
So
weekend.
give me your thoughts on recruiting. You're a month and a half away from signing.
Yeah, it's
So,
happening fast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting here. I think that, we lost one guy, but, I think that I like our class. We got to add, there's some pieces we'll add that we're continuing to evaluate. We probably get, at least another O lineman, probably another D lineman, another skill guy on in the back end defensively, and then on the at the offensive position too. Just somebody that's good with the ball in their hands. But yeah, it's getting here fast. No doubt about it.
Can I ask you this? And this is kind of something that I noticed during the game. You've talked about the pass defense and how it needs work, and also about how good number 4 was. I can't pronounce his name either.
McMillan.
Get twice on 2 really big plays. You had Trey Latham stuck with him one-on-one.
Yeah, not good defense, Bob. Yeah, maybe once, you get stuck. And really what we're doing is playing a Tampa 2 where he's playing the middle, where he's running the middle. And on both of those, on the first one, if we get to the quarterback, it's a non-issue. He actually played it pretty well, but the scramble, he got out-athleted. And, one of those, okay, but we should have never put him in that position again. And it's really that's not Trey's fault, And what happens, not defending anything, but what happens is when you're struggling, you're trying to find answers, and the answer there wasn't very good. But it's, yeah.
Because of geographic and Big East connection, would you like to see West Virginia and Cincinnati become a rivalry?
Well, yeah, you can't manufacture. You got to make it on the field. But I think it's a game that should be played every single year. Yeah, for sure.
Can you tell that there's trouble on the way before some snaps? Because watching on TV, it seems pretty easy, especially when they do the replay. But you're watching it as it happens. And
You talking about defense or
on defense?
offensive?
They're looking, they're communicating, they're trying to figure out what's going on.
You talking about our defense or
Your defense? Yeah.
Yeah.
It just looks like sometimes that
Yeah,
again,
we were
replay
late to
makes it
line up,
easy.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah, you can see that.
I don't know what your stance on defensive timeouts is. Is that Jordan upstairs? Is it hard?
No,
for him
I
to
can use them.
communicate?
Yeah, I can use them. What I really try to do is try to save them to the end. Because I think that your timeouts are really valuable. I think we won't use. Last couple of years really hadn't used them to avoid a procedure penalty. You haven't. Because I think there's so many close games, Mike, and you know this from watching this and how this league's evolved. Like, you got to have them at the end. You have to have them, and so I try to avoid using them, unless we absolutely have to.
You see situations where, again, hindsight,
Yeah, we've
probably
used them
not fair.
before. Yeah, we've used them before. Like, the touchdowns that we gave up, the explosive play. Now, I'm not saying all the explosive plays, but the explosive touchdown plays of the night, that wasn't the issue. Now, there was several plays where we weren't aligned that we should have been. But you're asking, in retrospect, would I have used a timeout? I don't know. Yeah.
No, defensively, you've been trying to throw a lot of stuff at it, a lot of different concepts at it to try and find the answers. As you go through the different things, do the same issues and errors keep cropping up through all the different concepts, or does each new thing you try come with a new, okay, we tried this, but now this is a problem?
Yeah, I think when things aren't going well, you continue to change up what you're doing, but when you do that, the other teams have good coaches too, right? And so you're covering up one aspect, but the coaches figure that out, and you'll get exposed on the other. Like we had a lot of success with cover 2, versus if you look at it, Oklahoma State's when we kind of started playing it after the bye week. We had a lot of success, kind of surprised them. We come back the following week against Iowa State and didn't play poorly on defense, didn't play good enough to win, but didn't play poorly, and we had some success there. Kansas State in the first half, that's the best we've played. But they got us on some things in that coverage in the second half, and then Arizona got us, and so that worked for a little while. Now we got to continue to figure out what's kind of the next step, and we got to be better. We got to coach them better, but we got to evolve. We got to use this bye week to what our next answer is going to be, because you look at it, Cincinnati, that quarterback's playing well. Baylor's quarterback's playing really well right now. Central Florida has been really good on offense, and then Texas Tech's been really good on offense. So it doesn't get any easier, and so we got to get some answers. All right, thank you all.